I really want to first thank you for taking the time and for doing this interview. I'm incredibly excited because honestly, this is quite a full circle moment for me. You were the first musician that I've seen live. And
Really?
yeah, it was, and it was actually such an incredible situation because, you probably don't remember that, but I've seen you while you were in Whitesnake and Def Leppard playing in Bulgaria. And
Whoa, yes. Remember that show? It was raining, right?
it was raining, and you guys were stopped at the border of the customs. So you came on stage with like 3 hours
Oh,
delay or something like that.
oh wait, maybe that was a different time. That I remember that too. Yes, maybe was it raining that day too, or
It
no?
was raining. Yes, it was raining.
Okay, because yeah, one of the days it was definitely raining.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
just going to say that the one shot that I always had in my mind from that show was seeing you playing, with all the rain pouring down and you guys playing crying in the rain. And for me, this was like the coolest thing ever.
You know that little by little, my guitar started to shut off. Like I don't know if it was I don't know if it was the amps or the
Yeah.
pedals or the pickups, but it got so wet. Finally, at the end, there was very little guitar sound. Bulgaria is an amazing show, amazing audience. It was great.
Yeah, this was literally like such a big start, in music for me. And since that, the Dead Daisies specifically are like me and my dad's one of our bonding bands. We're even coming to Vienna to specifically see you guys like on 5th December.
That's
So,
great.
so yeah, I'm very, very excited to talk with you, and it's a big moment. So, yeah, thank you for taking the time, really.
Of course.
Uh,
Thank you, man. I
yeah.
look forward to that show. That's I'm not sure what's the date on that show.
So 5th of December, I think it's Tuesday.
Okay, so that might be our first show of that.
I
That
think
leg.
I think it might be. Yeah, I think it might be. And I'm, specifically excited to see you guys playing because I've been following you guys on social media, and I've been seeing your tour walks and all the places that you've been playing recently, and
Yeah.
it really seems to me, I have this like big impression that you're having such a great fun and that you're really like experiencing this to the fullest, to emotions as possible during this tour. So I wanted to ask you, like, what's your approach towards this specific tour? Because for me, it seems I just get this very genuine and sincere energy that you're enjoying the places, you are having fun visiting all these places and just hanging around together and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like a homecoming family thing with John coming back and Michael Devin coming in. It really, it's like family,
Yeah.
basically. So, and we just we just gel in a different level. I think there's a different, different vibration with the band with John on lead vocals, and
Mhm.
it's not to say that it's better or anything, but it's just different, and it really works. So we are having fun. John's a really fun guy to tour with. He's got a lot of stories. He's always got something funny to say to lighten the mood, and we're all, working together as a team.
Yeah. I think it's very visible for the audience as well because there's like again this really genuine energy that you just showcase with even from your live performances and your videos and so on. And
Yeah.
speaking about this synergy between you guys, I'm very interested to hear your point on that. Like, obviously, you all have such great experience in music and so on. Why? How do you evaluate which musician you'll be like, which musician would be a good fit for you musically and professionally? Because I'm very interested in this process. Like,
That's a good question.
Thank you.
It comes down to, you never really know how it's going to feel until you play together.
Mm-hmm.
So, fortunately, prior to the Dead Daisies, we had all played together in Whitesnake, me and Michael and Brian, and it's just right. It feels, the groove is right. Michael and Brian have done so many gigs together, like 1,000, I don't know,
Wow.
but many different tours and different events, and they're just locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it easy for me and David to play with those guys because it just feels right. And I've known John since I was in school. I've known him for 40 something years, and he's always been amazing. He's always been a cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two aspects. You got the playing aspect, and you've got the attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And with these guys, everyone's got a good attitude, and that's very important. You can have the best players, but if you don't get along together, or the attitude isn't gelling together, then it doesn't really last that long. Where, at this point in our lives, our careers, if something doesn't feel good, we're just not going to bother with it. So it's gotta feel like you're hanging out with family, like brothers. One, and then you got to be able to play. So those are the two criteria. And with the Dead Daisies, like I say, we had played together in other situations with Whitesnake and just knowing each other a long time. Now I've been working with David Lowy for coming up on 7 or 8 years, beginning of 2016. So yeah, it's like playing with my bro with him as well. So it just works.
Yeah. Like, is this connection, especially when it comes to playing together, something that you feel instantly once you jumped together for the first time, or something like that? Or was it something that you developed throughout the time?
Well, it definitely gets better the more you play together. And like I said, playing with Michael and Brian is easy. It just feels great. You can sink into the pocket. And Michael is he's an amazing singer as well. He's got a great lead vocal as well. He's singing a couple bits here and there, but he's one of the world-class bass players I've ever worked with. Really melodic, really heavy, and the most important thing for the bass player is to lay the foundation and melodically play around the chord changes, and Michael's really good at that.
Amazing. And what would you say is like your favorite thing about being part of this specific band? Like, what is the thing that distinguishes this experience from all of your previous experiences in groups?
It's very similar in a way to Dio, where it was really part of a family. The Dead Daisies do everything as a team, and I think it takes a lot of pressure off. It also puts everybody on the same page, so you're working together to achieve whatever it is: writing a song, playing a concert, doing promotion, doing a photo, whatever. Everyone's involved in the decision of it, and I think teamwork is definitely. What is that saying? They have a saying. Teamwork makes the dream work. It's pretty true.
Yeah, amazing.
But yeah, I would say it's like being in a family in the Dead Daisies. I really enjoy that. At this time in my life, it's very important.
And it's really cool that this sort of environment is really visible to the audience, and to me personally, it makes a great difference because it's not just some sort of a project that is performing, but it really feels very, it feels like you've actually gathered together to play and have fun rather than to do something, just for the sake of a career or whatever the case might be. So,
well, I mean, it is the music business where you are trying to work, and I'm blessed to play guitar every day and take care of my family. So we are. If I wasn't doing the Dead Daisies, I'd be doing some other musical thing. But I've found a good home at this point, and so work is fun.
Yeah. And like, even when it comes to your upcoming tour and all the places that you are yet to visit, at this stage, how do you mentally approach the whole process of touring and visiting those places? Is it like for you something that you're used to and that you're just perceiving as part of the job, or is there something specifically that excites you to this day, despite your resume and your experience?
I mean, it's very exciting to work on a set list. Once you've got it, figured out, then you can start to improve on your playing during the set. I've never had a perfect show ever. So that's something to strive for, Yeah. But the other thing that really is exciting is playing through, the gear. Just like when I was a kid, it's very much a chase of tone.
Yeah.
Trying to get the right tone for each song, trying to get the right feel for each song. But especially, for example, getting a new guitar.
Yeah.
Something, or bringing a guitar out that I haven't toured with for a while, which I'm going to do on this run. And it makes me want to play, It's like I missed my old friend. And I, like, as an example, this guitar I just got a couple days ago.
Wow.
And I can't put it down. It's an older one, so I'm probably not going to bring it on the road, but I wish I could.
Yeah.
It's just, with airlines and stuff, I don't want to take a chance. But man, it like makes you practice, because you feel like, okay, I got this new guitar or a new amp, whatever, and I need to be deserving of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to work hard, practice, and it's inspiring.
That's so cool to hear that, after your experience, you're still like genuinely excited to play. I think that's so cool, because I've seen so many people who, are now perceiving these aspects of what they're doing more as as a duty, as like part of the job or whatever. But it's cool that you still have this like genuine, connection with that.
Sometimes the only thing that stops me from playing sometimes is if I have a little injury or something.
Yeah.
There was one day I was in my garage trying to pull like a blanket, and it was underneath I guess a motorcycle wheel or something.
Yeah.
And I strained my pinky, and it took, it's fine now, but it took like, I had to lay off for a few weeks.
Wow.
Sometimes I'll get a little pain here.
Yeah.
So I'll take it easy, but on tour, generally it's pretty much just, you get in shape and you're ready to go.
Wow, that's so nice. Have you always been like that, in terms of like almost being addicted to playing?
Yeah. I mean, that's been that's the thing that saved me when I was a kid, because I really wanted to be good, and it gave me something to strive for. I've gotten very lucky, for sure, in my career, getting jobs like I've gotten, getting to play with the people who I've gotten to play with. But the heart was always there to play music. I loved it, and I loved listening to it, and I loved being inspired by it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And you've mentioned something that, it's sort of a topic that I really wanted to discuss with you, because, since the first time I've heard your music with all of your different bands, something that really made an impression with me was always the sound, And it was always something that made, great note in my mind, because obviously you have lots of classic hard rock bands that are trying to, to just emulate what was successful, years ago. And you have these sort of rock bands that are trying to adjust to modern trends. And for me, you've always been on sort of the best balance of it all, because you made, for me personally, you made this sort of classic hard rock sound to sound so new and so powerful, and something like getting the best out of both worlds, essentially. And I still remember, Whitesnake's Good to Be Bad, and this was something that I've never heard as an approach before. And to be fair, even to this day, I don't really see bands that have this, very unique and modern approach to showcasing the classic power of rock, if this makes sense. So I'm really interested to hear your thought process in terms of when it comes to developing an idea in your mind and presenting it and playing it. And, just it would be great if you can walk me through your creative dynamic.
It's changed a little bit with different people I've worked with. When I was writing with my very first band, I took some inspiration from the vocalist. He was musically really wanted to keep a British sound to us, and this was the band called Lion, and a long time ago. But we kind of had some flavors of early Whitesnake and Deep Purple, Zeppelin, stuff like that. Thin Lizzy, we were really influenced by. And so later on, when I started working with Whitesnake, I could kind of utilize those influences because I knew about the early Whitesnake. So one of my goals was to, with David, making Good to Be Bad, was to try and fuse two audiences. You had your British European audience, and then you had the American side that was more aware of the 87 type sound. So of course, I've always been a fan of Whitesnake since I heard him, but I did love the early Whitesnake too because of the bluesy side. So I tried to bring that into the songwriting and some of the riffs and things that I would present to David. And then David had some stuff that was leaning in that way anyways. So we found common ground there, and we were really proud of that record. We had a little bit of a legal problem for a while with that. Nothing to do with me, but it's just like, business stuff, record company stuff, whatever. But the record sold really good, and we won some awards. I always try to find music or ideas that I think sound good. And then I would present them to David, and he would say, well, what are you hearing for the vocal? Or what are you hearing? Like, why are you showing me this? And so I'd kind of sing him a rough idea, and he would then understand how I was hearing it. And then he'd come back with a real vocal, and it was like, whoa, that's, I mean, I was sitting in this exact spot when I played him Good to Be Bad. And actually, we wrote it together, but I just had the basic riff and a couple of parts. Yeah. And I said, tell me, baby, what's on your mind. And I did it with the bam, 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 tell me, baby. And he's sitting right over here behind me. And he started singing exactly what I just sang to him, but he sang it in the Coverdale way. And it was like, my hair on the back of my neck stood up. It's crazy. And that ended up being I guess, the title of the album. And it was a really cool song that I felt great about, And then all of them, Lay Down Your Love on that album, All for Love, Fool in Love. There was a lot of love songs.
Yeah.
Best Years.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was a lot of good stuff on it. So then when I got into Dead Daisies, it changed a little bit because we're doing things together as a team. So I would have, of course, I present some riffs that I think are cool, that the band would like, simple guitar-driven rock and roll stuff, maybe a little simpler than what I did with Whitesnake. But that's kind of how the band was, and that's what we were trying to go for. And then everyone would work on it together. So it like I said, it's teamwork. So, but still, when I was working with Glenn and the Dead Daisies, a lot of times it was just Glenn and I that would kind of start things, and I would kind of go back to my way of presenting ideas like I did for David. I would say, Glenn, I hear this is something I want to play you, and I hear it like this, and stuff like No Other. The song Like No Other was, I basically just had the concept in my head that there would be two guitar parts going with no bass, and that way Glenn could just focus on singing, and then the chorus would come in and be very simple with the bass and the vocal, and that's how it turned out. So I present stuff that I really believe in. At the same time, if somebody's not feeling it, then we just drop it. Move on to something else.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And what about, I'm also curious to hear about your approach in this aspect when it comes to production and when it comes to recording. You've obviously mentioned that, you're very particular about what you like and about the sounds that you want to extract in studio and stuff like that. Is it correct to assume that you're very hands-on when it comes to the overall sound that you want to achieve in studio?
I've been hands-on lots of times, and I've pretty much, again, I would say to a producer or an engineer, like, here's the sound I'm kind of hearing. What do you think? And we would find an agreement on it. It's pretty easy now. In the early times, I didn't have hands-on. I would just play the sound that I thought sounded good and what made me play good. And then the engineer and the producer would have to figure out how to record it. But then later when, home recording became so popular and stuff, in the 90s, I started to learn some techniques about recording and how to mic the guitar cabinet. And so I had that part of it down, and I could make some pretty good demos. I could do drum machine, whatever. So it was hands-on more at that time. And I joined Whitesnake, and David and I started writing after a few years. And he basically would stick me in the studio and go, okay, can you do a mix on something? And that included mixing drums, which I had never done. And it's a little bit complicated. I didn't know how to do it. I just had to use my ears and figure out the phasing of the microphones. Phasing is when two microphones are hearing the same sound at different times, and then it ends up canceling some of the frequencies out and takes away some bottom end. So you have to be really careful about phasing. And I figured it out after, hundreds of hours. But I have to thank David for putting me in that situation because I learned a lot. But now, with the Dead Daisies, we generally have an engineer and a producer involved. And I'll be hands-on in terms of sometimes doing some editing or maybe, helping record a little bit. Last album, I went to David's house and recorded his guitars with him. And then brought them back and we imported them into the sessions. But we tracked everything live, but then, we wanted to do some overdubs, so we did it that way. But yeah, so I have a little hands-on, but I'm also cool. If we got an engineer, I'm totally cool with that.
That's great. That's great. And with the Dead Daisies, obviously we have the whole, the whole process of having a basic idea to developing a song and recording it in studio and so on. For you, what's the part of the whole process that you're most looking forward to and that keeps you, the most enthusiastic? Is it like the early development of a melody? Is it the recording process? Is it communicating this whole thing with the rest of the band? Like, what stage of, this whole trip is getting you the most excited about?
When you're starting a project, it's like it's pressure, to like, when you start thinking about all this stuff and you can get like overwhelmed. What you need to do is take it one step at a time and just find one riff that turns into one song, and then you work on the melodies to develop it. Hopefully it turns out good. But once you get that one song, you start to build on them. And little by little, before you know it, you got 10 songs. And it's a fun process. It's a little nerve-wracking, but once you're in the zone creating, it's pretty fun. But then there's another mountain of how to record it to make it sound even better. And it's exciting to find out, how everyone's performance is going to affect the sound and everything. So I think recording is probably one of my favorite parts.
Nice.
Creating and recording. And then, of course, playing it live is super fun. That's when it's like the payoff. You don't, it's not really hard work. It's like you're having an opportunity to present the song and play it, and it's fun,
Yeah.
But it's exciting to create and it's exciting to record.
Let's see. Do you have like a specific song that you are most looking forward to play right now?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite songs right now is Born to Fly that we recorded with Glenn last year, I guess, and last summer or last spring.
Yeah.
And so Born to Fly is kind of an inspiration about David, about his flying. And we were sitting together in New York and we had some music. He started some music and then I helped him finish it. And then I just got a melody hit in my head that included the syncopation of the vocal, and it just sounded cool. And so we presented it to Glenn and he sang it that way. And so now John's got his hands on it and he's put his style into it. And I just really enjoy the song, playing it live. And Michael and him sing the chorus together, like a trade-off. So it's probably my favorite song right now to play live.
I'm really looking forward to hearing this one, by the way.
Yeah.
And, another thing I wanted to ask you is that, obviously you've probably done like thousands of interviews. But is there a question that you've never been asked, but you've always wanted to answer? Because I'm always curious to hear like people like yourself, if there's a specific topic that you really want to discuss, but you've never had the chance to.
If I had to make up a question for some musician, I would say, where are you in your life in terms of like what's changed in your life and what did you learn? Something like that.
That's very interesting because literally I was going to ask, throughout your experience as a musician, like what would you say have been the most important and focal lessons that you can pinpoint as crucial for your development, personal and professional?
In the beginning, I was pretty naive, young, when I moved away from my parents, I was 18 and I didn't really know anything about life. I made a lot of mistakes, money and bills and not knowing anything about it, and just so I little by little learned how to manage a bank account. And I started teaching guitar during a time when in LA everybody wanted to be a lead guitar player. And so I got a lot of students quickly. And I was playing live. So people would come, see me play, and then they said, can you show me what you're doing? And it was really cool. But I started to realize that I had not maybe done as best as I could have. I spent a lot of time spent a lot of time doing things that were not healthy or stuff like that. And so I think the best thing to do is to try and focus on the important things that you're trying to accomplish, and basically, stay away from bad influences in terms of partying or people who are, maybe wasting your time. And it's important that you surround yourself with good people that are, of the same thinking, because there's a thing like, basically, if you surround yourself with good people, you're going to be a good person. You surround yourself with talented people, and you're going to be more talented. And I think that's really important to do. And then knowing that life is short, so don't waste time. Don't procrastinate. Do what you should be doing now. Don't say, I'll do it tomorrow or whatever,
Yeah.
Because like now at this point, I'm way older than I ever thought. And it goes by fast, and you don't want to waste that time. I've been really lucky, super lucky, and there's, a part of me that thinks like, hey, I had to go through whatever I went through, but now I realize that you really got to kick ass because life is short.
Like, did you have a period in your life where you didn't have this sort of appreciation towards what you have?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple times. There was some times when, I mean, I was practicing and stuff, but maybe I wasn't pushing myself. I was practicing, but I wasn't learning as much as I could have. And then there was a time with relationships where I was just, I got into relationships just so I was in one, and maybe it didn't need to be in one or something. I don't know. I felt like I had to have a partner, but I learned that relationships are difficult and can be draining on you if it's not the right fit. Finally, now I have, I'm in a marriage that is, it's work. It works, It is work, but it works. And we've got an amazing family, and that's what's the most important thing is once if you're lucky enough to have children, then, that's what it's all about. And I just feel really lucky and blessed because I can do what I love still. But no matter what, if something happened to me and I couldn't do music anymore, I would do what I have to do to take care of my kids, because that is the ultimate. That's the ultimate present in life. We're animals, pets. People have their animals that they're just like kids. So, but all in all, when we're done on this earth, you can't take stuff with you. So you basically trying to work hard to leave it up to your family. That's That's what I'm trying to do.
You have to.
So I can say, I want to get this guitar right here. This is a nice vintage old guitar that I needed for work. I needed it. I needed it to inspire me, which it is. But I can also say, like, okay, when I'm gone, my kids will have it and they can sell it or play it or whatever.
Yeah, the feeling for just being able to provide for someone, I guess it's very rewarding and gratifying. So
especially in music, because it's changed so much. People. I know so many musicians who are that don't get paid what they deserve. You write a song and it gets. Well, you look at it was a Snoop Dogg had like 1 billion streams or something on a song. Yeah. He was like, I haven't made $1 million off that yet. 1 million streams. Yeah. So it is what it is. But the good part is that with technology, it has an opportunity for younger musicians to get their voice out there, their playing, their sound, get it out there via the internet and apps and different stuff like that now. So you don't necessarily have to rely on a record company coming to give you a recording contract.
I really love to tell me a bit more about this guitar and just
So basically, this is a 1953 Les Paul, and obviously it's a super old piece of wood. Wow! And this is considered a player's grade. Wow! So player's grade means that it's been tweaked and messed with, and so it's not worth as much as a super clean one. But like for me, I changed a lot of stuff anyways. Like, for example, the frets are very important to me, that they're a certain size and it have a certain feel. Yeah. And that there's no buzzing or fret notes that, like, when you do a big bend, it frets out. Wow. And this guitar had already been refretted. So that takes some value away. And then somebody changed the bridge setup from a wraparound tailpiece that would have been the right one in 53 to a trapeze style with a harmonica.
Yeah, because I thought this doesn't work quite regular, and I was going to ask you about that, but
this is the wraparound one is. I love the feel of a wraparound tailpiece, and I've got a couple guitars. I've got 3 or 4 guitars that have wraparound tailpiece, and they play great, they feel great. But it's not quite as perfect on the intonation tuning of the. So for people who don't know, that's why these individual pieces can go back and forth. So you can individually tune each string to be in tune all the way up and down the neck. And so somebody decided to put this on here instead of a wraparound piece, and now it's really in tune all over the place.
Wow, nice.
So somebody, I just, actually, a friend of mine just said, hey, are you going to switch that back to a wraparound? And I said, no, because I was originally thinking I would, but once I got my hands on it and started to feel how good it sounded and how in tune it was, I was like, no, I'm going to keep it like it is. It's kind of a weird look. But anyway, all these things make it a player's grade. So I'm not going to do any, it's not going to lose any more value. It's basically kind of half price of what it would be.
Wow.
Which is still a lot of money. But I can play it and I don't have to worry about it.
I can imagine.
And it will continue to get more valuable, but I don't have to be like, have a museum piece guitar that's worth more money, but I can't really play it and it doesn't play as good. This thing's just ripping.
Wow.
So good.
What was the first thing you played on it?
Just some chords. I just playing like a
just to feel it out. Nice.
just to see, and then I started soloing a little bit to see how it felt, and it felt great. And then I started looking for spots where it was going to fret out, and it didn't. And I'm like, whoa, this is great. And then all the way up the neck, it's in tune, which with the wrap tailpiece, it probably wouldn't be 100%.
Yeah, gotcha.
Which is okay, that's the way those guitars were. And like I said, I've got some like that, and I can make amends for the tuning with my fingers. This guitars just don't have to,
Nice. I was going to ask you which one is your favorite guitar, but I guess at the moment is this one.
yeah, this one at the moment. But I do have probably my workhorse guitar is, you'll see it in Vienna. It's a gold top that is got a black pick guard on it. And I've had it, I got it in Whitesnake around 2008. And it's just a killer one. Gibson sent it to me for a tour as a backup to my main gold top. And it's just turned into being one of the greatest sounding and feeling guitars that I have. Amazing.
And okay, so just to finish this off, I guess I'll get back a bit towards the topic we've been discussing about music and art, and sort of the purpose of human life, as deep as this might sound. But because you mentioned something that you feel that music is a way for us to provide somehow as well. And something that I wanted to ask you was, what's the aspect of music in creating art that you connected with the most, and that really established your passion towards what you want to do? Like, was it the way that you can affect other people for expressing yourself? Was it just the natural joy of develop your ideas? So yeah, like, what made you fell in love with music?
Well, I think there's a lot to what you're asking, but the main thing is, with people like me, my whole life is driven by music. Like I gotta have it still. I still listen to the same old stuff that I listened to when I was a kid, and it still reminds me of when I was a kid. Still makes me feel like a kid, and there's still a lot to discover. There's always some. Well, also rediscover. Like, I'll go off of an artist for a while that I would love, and I'll come back and revisit after maybe 5 or 10 years. I'll come back and rediscover everything again, and it's like starting over. It's great. And then there's other kinds of music that once in a while you find yourself on a classical music station, and you realize, man, somebody composed that in their head, and then wrote it out for 60 different musicians to play at the same time. It's just incredible. Like, think about that. So once in a while I'll be discovering stuff like that, or jazz, or whatever. But the bottom line is that listening to music made me feel stronger than I was, and playing music made me feel stronger than I was. And not talking about physically, just mentally.
That's such a good answer, honestly. I really like this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, how can you fix a broken mood when you're in a bad mood? Listen to some music. Listen to some music. If you're feeling bad, listen to some music that makes you feel worse. And then you'll realize, okay, when the music's over, I feel better. Or you can flip that, and when you're feeling down, you can listen to some positive music. But I think that blues-based music and melodic music. Blues itself is like it's healing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you might really be having some hellhounds on your trail in a sense, and it helps you put it in perspective and realize that, you know, people go through all kinds of stuff that you've already, you know, you're going through something that somebody else has already gone through, and they made it through, and you're going to make it through too. But it just, music makes you feel powerful. That's the bottom line.
That's such a, you know, so well put, and such a good finish, I guess, to this conversation. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. I won't waste you know, any more of your time, but thank you so much.
You didn't waste any of my time. This was a really, really good interview. I really appreciate your time and your questions, and I look forward to seeing you
yes.
Vienna, Hristo.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
We will have a good night of, you know, celebrating hard rock, classic rock, and you're gonna have a blast. Krabi, Tishy, Devin, Lowy, they're all ready for it. So
I'm sure
we had like a week and a half break, something.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite a week and a half, but everybody's recharged and ready to just kick this last run in the ass. So we will see you ready to. Yeah,
I can't wait. I'm really so excited, and I'm not getting that excited about, you know, concerts that much these days. But yeah, I'm really excited to see you guys. And
the thing that's good is Krabi makes it like a party. It's like a party in your neighborhood, you know, and Peeps makes it fun. People are laughing, singing, and rocking out, you know, and it's just what a concert should be.
Yeah, I was exactly thinking that as well. It's just like this very like positive and fun atmosphere. And I feel like, you know, these sort of experiences are not something that you often encounter these days. And I'm genuinely so excited to experience that, you know. I really am.
Good.
So yeah, thank you again so much. This was a bucket list moment for me, you know, to be able to talk with you and talk about all of these things. Thank you for your time. I massively appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully we will talk soon, and I'll see you very soon, I guess.
Sounds good, Hristo. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
All the best to your family. I'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you. Have a nice day. And yeah, talk to you soon.